CM Punk is the devil and a saint, a professional and a malcontent, a man's man and a feminist, a worker and a straight shooter, a sinner and a saint, a sweetheart and an asshole, all depending on whom you ask. If Charlemagne the God was 6 shades whiter and 6 inches taller, he would be Phil Brooks. CM Punk brawled his way out of AEW amid high tensions and low leadership. And 9 months into his WWE return, he's been a completely different person. But is this a better CM Punk? A better Phil Brooks, sure, because he almost has to be on his best behavior at this point. But one could argue that the CM Punk character was every bit as compelling and must-watch during the most tumultuous months in AEW. CM Punk himself still makes references to that time, even though the more mainstream WWE fanbase never seems to get that joke, because like most people, they don't watch AEW. Look, it's impossible to decide which version of CM Punk is better. AEW CM Punk melted that promotion into the ground, but how much fun was that to watch? AEW booked a whole angle based on the Brawl and in the short term, it did numbers. CM Punk in WWE has been a magnificent storyteller. But tell me, is this kinder, gentler Phil Brooks really true to the fabric of CM Punk? When we think of CM Punk, do we think of the no-nonsense, silver-tongued punk rock pugilist who will punch an EVP at the drop of a hat? Or do we think of the smiling feminist on his best behavior, making surprise appearances in the Performance Center to help out the younger generation? Which version of CM Punk is more compelling? Which version of CM Punk is more likely to get people talking? It's easy to be convinced that the WWE CM Punk is better, but there's a case to be made for both, especially if you're asking the right questions. Between CM Punk and AEW and CM Punk and WWE over the past 3 years, which version is more entertaining? Which version of CM Punk do you want to go to war with backstage? Which CM Punk is more of a pro? Which one draws more money? Which CM Punk is more important to his promotion and less interchangeable? Which one tells better long-term stories? Whose promos are better, both worked and shoot? Let's detonate this pipe bomb in Swahili.
Now, forever.
Answer: CM Punk's finisher in what people do when they listen to WrestleNomics.
What is go to sleep?
Correct. CM Punk returned to WWE with a big old smile on his face. This is a small but important detail because it set the tone for the cousin Phil we all know and love today. Carefree, controversy-free, at least in WWE. A true mensch, a Stamford saint. Punk's AEW return in 2021 was a cathartic moment. Before cheesing and doing a stage dive in the United Center, Punk took it all in. Legitimately. He was tearful and seemed like he was walking into his childhood home. Let's just keep it a buck. It was real. This was Phil Brooks reacting to his return to the wrestling business in real time. But 2 fisticuffs with stringy-haired heels from California later, CM Punk was delivered on a silver platter to WWE. Similar to how CM Punk left AEW, there was something very real about how he walked into WWE. And WWE took full advantage of CM Punk being a walking worked shoot. Before Punk said a single word in his wild WWE return, Seth Rollins was furious and had to be restrained by Michael Cole. This was all a work, of course, but it was treated like a shoot. You only really saw footage of Rollins' tirade on social media smartphones. Rollins previously made comments about not wanting Punk in WWE during media interviews, and this seemed like the prelude to an art-imitating-life WrestleMania storyline, especially because Rollins had spent weeks dropping CM Punk Easter eggs before Punk's shocking return. Drew McIntyre was also furious, but there's reason to believe that his frustrations were far more legit. McIntyre, as a top star, always seemed to get the short end of the WWE stick. Drew's big plans in WWE always fell apart at the last minute. He was Pinky and the Brain. He was Keenan and Kel. McIntyre's biggest moment at WrestleMania was ruined by COVID. His redemption story was sliced in half the next year by a buzzsaw named Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania 37. WWE didn't even pretend to care about his place on the card at WrestleMania 38 when he wrestled Baron Corbin on Casual Friday. At WrestleMania 39, Drew McIntyre was coming off one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time, and his stock was starting to rise again. And just as it seemed that he was finna wrestle for the world title at WrestleMania 40, along comes that damn CM Punk. Drew stormed out that night at Survivor Series. He was big mad. He could see the writing on the wall. Cody was gonna finish his story, Seth was gonna work with Punk, and Drew McIntyre, once again, was gonna be the odd man out. Even though both Drew and WWE want you to believe that this was all part of an angle, Drew McIntyre, with his contract coming up, was furious. You can't convince me any different. But Drew's feud with CM Punk became the sole reason for why WWE CM Punk might be better than AEW CM Punk. Inspired by real-life events, the Drew McIntyre character immediately took exception with CM Punk's return. He had legitimate complaints and concerns about Cousin Phil returning to the WWE locker room the way a virus comes back during flu season. Drew McIntyre was making sound and legitimate points about Punk's return, but he did so in a way that made him extremely unlikable. He was channeling Bret Hart in 1997, and it was brilliant. Channeling the Hitman, this new Drew McIntyre hated CM Punk so much you'd think he was Bill Goldberg. CM Punk channeled Bret Hart for his first AEW feud in a match against Darby Allin, and it was fine. They didn't have much time to build tension, but it was good for what it was, a babyface versus babyface return match. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, however, is the complete opposite. It's been light years better as a CM Punk return feud, and they haven't even had their match yet. Because Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk is more than a match, it's a story. That's all it could be after McIntyre accidentally injured CM Punk at the Royal Rumble. Punk got injured in AEW a couple times, and each time he had to go away for a while. AEW's television suffered because of it, since their MVP was missing. But when CM Punk was injured in WWE, they managed to keep him on television and active as a character. Similar to when Stone Cold Steve Austin suffered a career-threatening neck injury, but got over as a non-wrestling babyface in spite of it. Or more fittingly, how Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels were both kept on TV to build up their tensions despite each suffering an injury or a lost smile along the way. One of WWE's permanent advantages over AEW is its ability to tell a story without being overly reliant on a wrestling match. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns feuded over the course of 2 years, and they only had 2 matches. Rhea Ripley, one of WWE's biggest stars, got injured, and WWE gave the ball to Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. Liv Morgan's revenge tour is now a certified draw, and her showdown against Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam is gonna have so much heat, Wikipedia will list it as an Inferno match. The Wyatt Six spent weeks in therapy before any of them even took their first bump. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre are no different. In AEW, CM Punk getting injured led to wasted months on his contract because he was just put on the shelf. Tony Khan crumbles whenever tasked with doing anything other than scheduling a match between 2 already great workers. An injured CM Punk is of no use to Tony Khan, because how is he ever gonna help TK collect all those imaginary stars from Dave Meltzer? Story? Tony Khan can't tell no story with an injured wrestler. On the contrast, you can argue an injured CM Punk in WWE has been every bit as effective as a healthy CM Punk in AEW. Drew McIntyre became a much bigger star thanks in part to his ruthless trolling of CM Punk and lack of remorse for injuring the man at the Royal Rumble. Drew said he used to pray for times like this. Punk came back to WWE to main event his first WrestleMania only to get injured in January, and Drew made a whole t-shirt about it. Savage. Drew worked out to cry me a river like a dog. And instead of being a WrestleMania afterthought, every little thing Drew did was on your mind. And on your timeline, too. Punk retaliated with a cat and mouse game that led to Punk screwing Drew time and again, including in Drew's home country of Scotland. just like Shawn and Bret in Montreal, except this was Scotland's Montreal Drew job. The Heartbreak Punk also crashed Hitman McIntyre's Money in the Bank cash-in, poetically, in Canada. The story was simple. Them two niggas hated each other. Period. But it was so effectively told, and it's building to what will be one of the most anticipated matches of the year. With so many great WWE storylines in cinema in 2024, that's saying something. Injury or not, CM Punk in WWE has hit a home run. As big of a star as he is, Punk needs WWE more than WWE will ever need Punk. He's a luxury there. But as a luxury item on its best behavior, Cousin Phil is doing some of the best work of his career. And he seems happy. Like legitimately happy. There hasn't been one story that even suggests CM Punk is in danger of reverting to his old ways. He recently had a backstage run-in with Randy Orton, but it was nothing like the Brawl in or the Brawl out. It was wholesome as fuck. Check it out. According to the report, Randy Orton approached CM Punk's locker room door, punted the door down, and this brought out CM Punk. The two vets said hi, and they watched the WrestleMania match together. Punk gave Randy a friendship bracelet, and the streets say Larry the Dog licked Randy's face. One of CM Punk's biggest contributions to WWE is as a converted former AEW top star. WWE is in a war with AEW, and as long as Tony Khan and them have a pulse, putting them out of business will always be a high priority agenda for the ultra competitive WWE. Once AEW's top star and potential savior, CM Punk has returned to WWE with just as big of an axe to grind against AEW as Triple H, whose entire reputation was almost ruined after losing the Wednesday Night War. Triple H and CM Punk have a checkered past. They've always been fundamentally opposite in how they view the wrestling business. But the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And AEW's existence, as well as their tensions with CM Punk, is a huge reason Triple H and CM Punk were able to put their differences aside and work together. Okay, so this isn't the best example, but CM Punk is like how Amber Rose once hated Donald Trump, but is now giving her full-throated support to the Donald. With WWE at war with AEW, CM Punk has also been an ace in the hole to needle the promotion behind the scenes. When Cody Rhodes left AEW for WWE, Rhodes vowed to never speak ill of AEW or why he left, and he's let his wrestling do the talking. An injured CM Punk didn't have that luxury, so he did what he does best. He let his mouth do the shit talking about AEW. CM Punk appeared on Ariel Helwani's podcast right before WrestleMania 40 to deliver his third pipe bomb. His first pipe bomb was his most famous promo in Vegas. His second pipe bomb came during the all-out media scrum in front of a bunch of scared-to-death fans pretending to be journalists. This third pipe bomb wasn't nearly as heated as Punk's famous Art of Wrestling podcast when he left WWE, but it was more of a passive-aggressive reflection on what went wrong in Jacksonville. Punk even went as far as to mock AEW's empty buildings because Punk and AEW, quote, aren't in the same business. The key to this shoot promo was Punk coyly talking about choking Jack Perry a little bit. This was enough to work Tony Khan into a shoot. Shortly after Punk's comments, AEW booked a whole angle teasing that WWE superstar CM Punk would be on David Zaslav's television. The Young Bucks would be actually airing footage of Punk's fight with Jack Perry to show the world what really happened. And what really happened was CM Punk choked Jack Perry a little bit. Complete suckers. AEW took the bait because Punk's passive-aggressive needling of AEW led them to try to prove a point by airing backstage footage to make CM Punk look like the tough guy? And make Jack Perry, who's currently being pushed as a top star, to look like a guy who couldn't defend himself in a fight? WWE and CM Punk had a plan to get AEW to snap, and it worked a little bit too well. Because CM Punk became the first wrestler in history to appear on WrestleMania, Raw, and Dynamite in the same week. Yeah, that'll show him. Clap for him.
Like, showing that footage isn't gonna help them or hurt me, so I was just like, whatever. And being the top draw in like 2 different companies is pretty wild, you know, like, thanks guys.
Meanwhile, after strong initial ratings for a CM Punk episode of Dynamite, AEW's viewership fell off a cliff in the following weeks as it became apparent to more casual fans that Punk would not be returning to AEW. Mind you, this was in a contract year for AEW. Still struggling to hit the 800,000 range, Dynamite, which once hit 1 million viewers a week with ease, is struggling to find an identity and move on in the post-Punk era. CM Punk's big money feud with Drew McIntyre and real-life feud with AEW has made him a valuable tool to WWE. He's a compelling character both in and out of the ring. But the same could be said about Phil Brooks in AEW. Answer. This AEW owner famously feared for his life during the Brawl in.
Phil Brooks.
Incorrect.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who is Phil Brooks?
Still incorrect.
Who is Tony Khan?
Correct. After a brief honeymoon period in AEW, CM Punk unraveled at the seams. Physically, he couldn't stay healthy, and mentally, he couldn't keep his composure. But if he was anywhere near a camera, you couldn't take your eyes off him. Pause. People forget just how entertaining CM Punk was before the fight with Jack Perry that ended his run. Had Jack Perry not said the words "real glass," we could be in an alternate universe where CM Punk is still AEW's John Cena. Because up until his final match, one Bill Phil was getting John Cena-like mixed reactions. Whether you loved him or you hated him, you were loud about it. This created a spectacle of a match at All In against Samoa Joe. Go back and watch 1 year later. It's the best match on that show. CM Punk is real, and he never felt more real than during his 2022 run with AEW. Punk's actions behind the scenes were drawing more attention than any AEW storyline, partly because AEW doesn't really know how to tell a compelling story. CM Punk lashed out at the company with a mouthful of Mindy's muffins after All Out. Then he put his hands on the Young Bucks. Then he just got his job back only to fight Jack Perry. Walk with me a bit. CM Punk draws a lot of parallels to Brock Lesnar. Both stormed out of WWE in ugly divorces after they had enough. Both fought for real in UFC, and even though Punk's stint was far less successful, that real-life pedigree added an air of legitimacy to CM Punk as a character. Punk felt even more real after going on a biblical tirade shortly after All Out in front of a helpless Tony Khan, and he cut one of his greatest promos ever during his return to AEW at Collision, when he deemed himself one Bill Phil. Make no mistake, CM Punk was toxic in AEW. A lot of people are to blame for this, most notably Tony Khan, who refused to ever step up and take control of this situation. But with CM Punk hanging around, he was a ticking pipe bomb, and you just had to see what he was going to do next. As a pro wrestling character, isn't that what this business is all about? Does that not make for the most compelling characters? CM Punk sure seems to think so.
You want to believe all that shit? I'm Bruiser Brody, and I'm running around, I'm running through the hallways, and I'm just fucking sucker punching people and all that. Great, man. Awesome. Believe it. Believe it. Because I'm over here, and I'm making money off it, and you ain't. Believe it. Okay, everybody hates me. Well, now I come over here, and everyone's like, oh shit, everybody hates him. What's going to happen? Well, I guess we're going to tune into Monday Night Raw to see.
Right.
Crazy Cousin Phil was wildin' in Jacksonville. He couldn't be controlled, but he was also their biggest star. Punk was such a big star that after burying the entire promotion and fighting its EVPs, Tony Khan gave him his own show just so he can have meltdowns on Saturdays instead of Sundays. Ironically enough, his final moment in AEW came during a Brawl in on a Sunday. The Brawl in spelled the end of CM Punk in AEW, but also the end of its most intriguing personality. AEW Collision, CM Punk's show, peaked at 816,000 viewers for its debut. In the post-Punk era, the show typically meanders in the 300,000 to 400,000 range. This is similar to AEW Rampage, which drew over 1 million viewers for the debut of CM Punk, only to turn into the new AEW Dark without him. AEW got into the CM Punk business, but after that business closed its doors, Punk's loyal and zealous fan base followed. Between Punk, his fans, and WWE, all worked in concert to craft a pretty accurate narrative of AEW being the uncool brand that doesn't know how to treat its top stars. CM Punk did more harm than good in AEW, but that doesn't mean he wasn't a great character. CM Punk makes it a point to bring donuts to his WWE press conferences as an homage to his AEW persona, almost like he misses him. Punk brought Tim Hortons to the Money in the Bank press conference, and it was so symbolic. Because Tim Hortons is this large, recognizable chain, an industry leader, just like WWE. Whereas Mindy's is this independent Chicago bakery that's punk rock and does not give a fuck. Shit, Mindy's is closed on Mondays like a black barbershop. What's up? So with that in mind, doesn't Tim Hortons CM Punk seem tame in comparison to Mindy's bakery CM Punk? That's great for professionalism and all that, but it's also a reminder of just how wild CM Punk once was when he was peak crazy. And as a result, peak television. In the carny world of pro wrestling, controversy creates cash, and crazy creates crypto. Like good crypto, back when it was actually worth something. So while CM Punk is a model citizen in WWE, does it take away from the DGAF menace who crafted CM Punk's complicated legacy? CM Punk was more valuable to AEW. CM Punk became a star 2 times now in WWE. CM Punk was more unpredictable in AEW. Punk is more predictable in WWE, but all great stories are predictable. CM Punk cut better shoot promos in AEW. Punk cut better scripted promos in WWE. Even when they're made to look like shoots, like that one promo with Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins when Punk brought up Vince McMahon. With bad leadership in AEW, CM Punk lost his shit and it led to some of the best wrestling content you'll ever see. Under great leadership in WWE, CM Punk has never seemed happier, and it's led to some of the best wrestling content you'll ever see. Punk was an all-elite pit bull in Jacksonville, but he's a domesticated beagle dog in WWE. Both versions of CM Punk helped his respective promotions for different reasons. So which version of CM Punk was better? Honestly, they're both the same person. So I guess the answer is all of the above. Nah, fuck that. We can't end on a cliffhanger like this is The Sopranos or some shit. It's the WWE CM Punk for me. CM Punk has become a bigger star in WWE, all while salvaging his legacy. His best moments in Titan Towers have been carefully cultivated and planned out. Punk's redemption tour looks like it's gonna lead to a future world title win, his first Royal Rumble win, maybe another match with John Cena, and most importantly, his first WrestleMania main event. And if he doesn't headline WrestleMania while healthy, well, maybe we'll get the AEW version of CM Punk in WWE, which could be the best CM Punk of them all. Fingers crossed. The end. Coming up on PWB, Tony Khan has an addiction and he needs us now more than ever. Plus, why All In is all done in London. Which CM Punk do you like better? Tell me in the comments.